This is just a therapy session.
Yeah.
Hospitality makes you get to know people better and you share lives together. I love cooking while he loves talking.
We've just learned just to relax a bit. You know, you want to come around for a cup of tea, you want to sit in the garden, you want to come around and watch the football, have a beer. It doesn't matter, you're invited.
And we decided to make, it's a bit cheesy,
but
it's Raclette Wednesday, where you get a little thing out, because we're very posh now, and we get some cheese and you melt it and you all have it together at the table. Then I don't have to cook for anyone, which is a bonus for me, because that can stress me out, so I just let people cook their own dinner. It's quite a new thing, but it's just something to help us prioritise it and put it in every week, and it's been really, really good. The living room does stink of grease after. I wouldn't say don't get a raclette if you ain't got good ventilation,
but it's well worth it.
So the big welcome will be a big dish, a lovely drink, and one of the things I always do is get a box of juice, blend strawberries into it. You know, it could be frozen strawberry or just add ice to it and make you feel welcome with something that you wouldn't have in your house. I'll be thinking, what can I give to them that is unique and different from what they usually have in their house?
If we are the family of God as the church, like nothing in some ways characterises how people often feel about families. Like it's the classic in the movies, Christmas. The house never looks perfect. The dinner almost always goes wrong in some way. There's always a fight, and someone's always broken something. Yeah. But it still really feels like family. Yeah. And I think the idea that hospitality and opening your home and the family of God would feel like that it would feel like it was supposed to be together, like that people wanted to be there, that everyone was accepted, even your weird auntie, like that would be part of it. I think as well, family's multi-generational, and like I have lots of really lovely cousins and we get on really well, we're really close, we grew up together, but actually my family isn't just my cousins, people like me, people in a similar generation to me. My family is like my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles, and my family is people who I really get on with, but also some people who I see because they're my family, right? And we all have those people in our lives. And I think that's the other thing about hospitality. It gives us an opportunity as the church to show that we are a family.
So my life is quite busy. I'm a resuscitation nurse, so I have quite long hours and shifts, and they can be quite busy. But generally, I love community, and I really try and share the free time that I do have with whoever's around that I can do that. And sometimes that's dropping food off for people or baking. Yeah, and then when people come here again, I like it to be a place that they can feel comfortable in, that it's warm, and they feel just generally that I can share whatever I have with them.
So as students, that's definitely one of the first things we have to think about when we get to a new place. It's okay, who are my people? Where will I feel at home?
Things like eating together, or getting the wisdom of different ages, you know, but the wisdom of just life, and or you know, the laughter and joy that you know different ages bring. Or
well, I am older than you, so I'm able to also provide those words of wisdom that you seek.
And the other thing about why hospitality is important as a Christian is, without putting too fine a point on it, it's in the Bible. And like it's not a little sort of niche side topic off on the side. It's like it's in Abraham's story, it's in the law, it's in the way Jesus lived his life. You look at Acts 2 and it twice references breaking bread together in your homes, and then it references saying grace, giving thanks for your food. In Acts 2, like, just blueprint of how you do church is there. hospitality. So it's really important.
We've got some friends who they get well comfortable, you know, shoes off, you know, on the sofa, feet up. I'm like, a bit much, but.
Titi wasn't home on the day. There had been cases where I had tried hosting. I think Titi had traveled or gone somewhere. So there was this brother-in-law of mine and my niece and nephew came visiting. And I was trying to make a barbecue. And then there's this funny old thing that we met when we moved into the house.
It's called an outdoor barbecue.
Okay. It's called an outdoor barbecue. I was trying to light it up. It was a mess. We blew, we did everything we could. Eventually it worked, but I'm not sure it went well. So that was not the best hospitality thing we've had. Titi was not at home because she would have planned it differently. I think one of the good things is to plan. The meat on the day may have had fumes of fuel on it, but it was the fellowship that mattered.
Well, to back up his story, he ruined my cooling rack. Yes.
That's not the story.
Yeah, you ruined my cooling rack.
Yeah, but that's not the story.
And then there was another time where we were going to play spike ball in the local park, and it just started tipping down with rain. I was a bit miffed that we didn't get to play spike ball, but we came back here, everyone was like just drenched, but we all just sat down, we had some soggy food, not that I cooked, but that we brought along and got soggy from the rain, and yeah, it was just a laugh, it was just a good time.
I used to think that hospitality was spending lots and lots of time preparing 3 courses which were home cooked and beautifully presented, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, particularly when we first arrived, we didn't have any friends, we didn't know anyone, we'd always be having new people around for dinner, and I really felt like if I was having someone new for dinner I needed to really impress them with my food, partly because I wanted to love them in that way, but also because I felt like there was an expectation that I would be the hostess with the mostess, you know, like you would have the most beautiful starter followed by an excellently chosen main and a really beautifully home-cooked dessert. And part of that was, you know, a noble feat, but yeah, I used to think that I had to do that, and I would just be exhausted because I'd be constantly busying myself with making it perfect.
In my life, how does hospitality look like? It's just a way of life for me. Everything I have belongs to God. My neighbors, I just selected like 4 or 5 that I could accommodate, and I help them to do stuff. Like I bring their beans in and out. You know, it doesn't take anything, it doesn't cost me any money. But when I'm taking my bean out, if I see that their beans are not out, I bring it out. It's helped me to have a less toxic neighborhood. My neighbors are like family.
I can remember one time, quite a while ago actually, but we had some students that came round, and I found out that one of the students didn't really have very much, so they all went home with bundles of food and about a week's worth of supply of different containers of food to make sure that they had enough to get through some exams. So yeah, anything I can do that I will try and do to help, really.
You don't have to have it perfect. Everything doesn't have to look good. Christianity is messy anyway, so what's all this make-believe?
We've never had a big house, so we've always lived. We're in a 2-bedroom,
first floor 2-bedroom flat. So sometimes that's made us feel like that can be a bit of a challenge, because we think, if we're going to invite someone round who's got 4 or 5 kids, which a lot of people at church have got 4 or 5 kids, haven't they? So we're just like, oh no, is there going to be space? And I think that held us back a little bit when we moved into a flat at first, because we were like, oh no, it's just going to feel a bit cramped. But it doesn't, and we've seen other people in the church do it.
Yeah.
We've seen people who've got flats and they've had us round, and it's made us think, actually, no, like it's nice. I don't feel any different to being in a big house, and no one cares about that really. It's just more about being together. And
also, we want our kids to know that this is part of our life. It's not a part of our life when they're in bed, it's part of their life. And you know, we want them to have their memories growing up, so when they are an adult, they're like, yeah, we always had people in our home. It was just what we did. It was just like second nature to us.
Every opportunity to make a big pot of jollof rice or a bowl of, I don't know how many people in church who haven't eaten my jollof rice. If you haven't, please. I have a busy life and I wouldn't, change my life for anything. I will still be happy to do hospitality when it's needed. Hospitality is sometimes not big. Somebody can just stop you on the road and say, I'm looking for this, and you help the person. And that's hospitality. It can be as simple as possible.
I think hospitality, the fundamentals of eating together, and it allows you to know what's going on with each other. It allows you to help build those relationships with each other as a family. And
who really cares how good the food is? Like, that's not that's hopefully not what people are coming for. They're coming for the company, they're coming the opportunity for you to get to know them, spend time with you. There's more to hospitality than cooking.
Yeah,
I think people obsess on the, what is my cooking like, what is my house like, or what is whatever like.
And people stress about it as well.
And will people judge me, all of that stuff. It's about how do you make an atmosphere that people want to be in.
I think some of the challenges for hosting can just be time. So my job is very demanding and it does take up sometimes long hours. So for me, I try and do it by being really prepared, a slow cooker or having a cake always prepared in the cake tins for if people just pop round. I freeze stuff so I can get it out if I'm going to go to someone's house or something like that. But yeah, it can be. I suppose it's just really trying to be organised. But I think anyone can host. You don't have to have a big house or anything like that. It can just be making the time and the effort to, even just making a cup of tea and having that with someone is still being, a friend to someone that needs it.
I tend to get a little bit too enthusiastic and just make it intense. Like, I'll meet people and I'll be like, do you want to swap numbers? Do you want to go for a beer? And people are like, I don't know you. Like, this is weird. Like, and you're like, stop inviting people for a beer and that. Like, but I don't know.
That's wrong when you've asked people on the street if they want to go for a beer. It's a step too far.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit intense.
No, don't do that.
Now, we had this lady who was part of a group who wouldn't know how to cook, and she was quite hesitant hosting us. The suggestion came that we could have this in your house all the same, but we could order a meal. And then ideas started flowing. What kind of things can we do? And the idea of a chippy came. So we had fish and chips, and everybody had their bags and a chip. And you had some with salt and vinegar. I didn't know too much about salt. I still don't understand salt and vinegar idea. But some people had it. And we had that meal. We had it all together in some guys were sitting on the carpet, on the couch, not on the dining table, but all over the place. And we had such a nice time. I guess we prayed afterwards. It was lovely.
James the other day, said that, each one of us is needed and each one of us is needy. And I think actually, while it can feel like, that could be serving on a rota and, definitely serving is great. I think doing that in people's houses and, doing that just on a day-to-day basis where actually, the rest of your week is spent is so important.
I think hospitality is important for us as Christians because what other example did Jesus set? The compassion and kindness that he showed through his actions. I know the feeling I feel when I'm invited to my mentor's house for dinner or some other elder's house in the church for dinner, or not even old people, but just other students and things like that. It does make you feel like you are part of something.
I think it has to be, we have to break this attitude of individualism. Like we always think about ourselves. We are a diverse community, so we should live like that. Go to someone else's house and go and eat their food, so that you know who they are and how they are, gets you to know them, gets you to connect with them.
Hosting people when they're there is more about being with them than being the the chef who's clearing up the dishes at the end. My work colleague, who we bubbled with over lockdown, he really appreciates being asked for dinner, and he always leaves with an extra dinner, so that the love doesn't just stop at the table, it goes home with him and it's in his tummy the next day.
We had a conversation and this person said, I don't like turkey. I said, how come you don't like turkey? I said, I don't like turkey, it's dry. I said, okay, I'll give you turkey. So when we invited them over to the house, I gave him something. I said, does he like it? He said, yes. I said, that's turkey, but a different type of turkey. So those are the kind of things I like doing.
We've all got busy lives and we can all say, like, I've got work, I've got kids, I've got a dog, I've got, you know, parents who need my help and all that. And I think all them things, obviously they are true. And, you know, we have that sometimes as well, where we think, like, this week's really busy and how are we going to fit it in? But we've found that, especially with natural moments, I think that we are going to sit there. We like to sit up at the table, have something to eat with the kids, or we like to have a coffee or a glass of wine on a Friday night or something, and we're doing that anyway. So really it's not an added pressure, do you know what I mean? I think if you think of it like that, that's because you're thinking of it as a performance rather than people being able to come in and just be normal and just do your normal life with you.
How do you set your place up, whether that's your palatial home or whether that's a corner of Wetherspoons? How do you set it up so people feel at home in it, so they feel welcome in your company, so that the kind of things you're going to be talking about are stuff that gets to the root of who they are?
You don't need to all be the same to make a community work. You don't have to be the married couple that hosts people. You don't have to be, coming with your friends. You don't have to, be like that. You can, show people that you can kind of host and be hospitable to absolutely anyone that comes. And, I found that some of the best evenings we had were chatting to people that, I probably wouldn't have chatted to outside of church, but because church brought us together, I found really interesting and actually also tasted some food that I probably wouldn't have done.
It's in the midst of hospitality, midst of bringing people together, that God just does great things. It's when 2 or 3 of us are gathered together that God is present. And when God is present, trust me, breakthroughs, trust me, miracles, His government increases. He opens doors, He shuts doors, He gives you insight into things.
We didn't have a dining table till we become Christians. No, we had them growing up.
No, we did. We use it for washing.
Oh, we put all my washing that I never put away on there. So I thought we didn't have one because it was camouflage for 2 years in laundry. But when we were younger, we just had the dining table out more for special occasions. And when we first moved into our place, we didn't actually have one. And it was only when we thought, actually, this is really important, we want to have people around. We actually got a dining table, but some people don't sit at the table. And so when you sit them up and say, do you want to sit down for a meal? It feels a bit intense. There's sometimes just spreading out a little bit in the garden, or just let the kids sit on the sofa and eat some dinner.
We all eat dinner in the evening, and you can invite someone else to eat the dinner that you're eating with you. You're going to do it anyway, so it's not a new thing.
It doesn't take you twice as long to make, twice the amount of food, for instance. Oh, we're going to church. Fine, great. We could have somebody for dinner before it, dinner afterwards. You were going to eat before or after church, but you're adding the hospitality in and around something you're already doing.
So very sadly I got COVID quite early on, and I was actually really, really, really poorly. So in that time I wasn't the one that was able to cook. I wasn't able to, in fact I was barely able to make a drink. But the church family were absolutely amazing. I would regularly or daily have a different person leaving food in my porch, and in fact sometimes I had more than one people leaving food in my porch, and there was always a dessert, and there was soups and stews and freshly baked rolls. There was so much that it took me longer than when I was sick to actually eat it, so it was an absolute blessing.
Because people are not coming for the food. They're coming because of everything but the food. There's fellowship in it. It could be just talking, Some people just need an ear to listen to, to conversations. babysitting children. There's so many, there are a lot more than just cooking, just the food.
Okay, it's not just a see you at 3:30, church is done, let's go home. It's, okay, let's go grab some food together, let's drink together. As Daniel was saying earlier, like that's such an important aspect of just life, and doing it together. And in the Bible we see like Jesus ate and drank with his disciples, with the people he was teaching to.
That is interesting. Whether Nigerians make the best jollof rice. As a Nigerian, I would say yes. Because that's what we know. But I think I've eaten Ghanaian jollof rice before. Even though, jollof rice didn't originate from us, from either Ghana or any of the world. It originates from Gambia. And it was called Wolof, not jollof. But there's a big war about jollof rice among these cultures. It's fun in a way, but I think some people take it too seriously. Yeah, so Nigerians, it depends on who is making the jollof rice as well. I think I make mine with love, so it's always nicer than the Ghanaian one, so yeah.
Billy and I were leading a community, and there was a time that I was definitely not going to make it, and I'd called him and I said, I'm so sorry. So he got the keys from the neighbours, and he let himself in. And I think there were some other people there already from community, and I think he'd even had to go and do a mad dash to go and get biscuits and stuff from the shops, because I'm not sure if I'd even remembered to prepare stuff. I can't remember. But yeah, he let himself in, and then all the rest of the community turns up, and they were all in my dining room when I got home, and they'd made me a cup of tea. And so yeah, I arrived to find at least I think 10 or 12 people in my house, all going hi, and I was like, hi.
Hospitality isn't something that you can turn on and off.
It's not a 9 to 5
Yeah,
job.
There's not an off-duty rota, like you're always on if you want to live life that's like that. And I think there's so many blessings with that.
As it's more of the heart of fellowship that matters in hospitality rather than the food or the thing. And it's that heart that the other heart is going to connect with. It's not the palate. The palate is secondary. Do get it right as much as you can, but it's secondary.
I mean, just bringing joy into people's life. Sometimes I think my purpose in life is to bring joy. So that's one of the reasons I would say be hospitable to someone, because it brings great joy to someone.
Little tip, if you come around a house and it's immaculate, don't open any cupboard, because Tiff's just rammed it in 3 minutes before you arrive.
Before you just got here.